Today I got a little something different on my workbench. A guy I used to work with 10 years ago gave me this old Heath SO-4541 low cost oscilloscope, and it's been sitting in his shed for some number of years. It's got a bunch of dust on it. I partially removed the front cover so I could tighten up the nut on this switch pot combo thing because it was really loose. And while I'm at it, I'm going to clean off all the dust off these boards. And it does not have the case for it, but supposedly this was a working scope when my former co-worker acquired it. So right now I'm just in the process of cleaning it up. And when I get it all back together, I'm going to check some of the components and see what I think about their condition, and if I think everything's good, I'm going to go ahead and fire it up. All the date codes on here appear to be from 1975, 1976, 1977, and so I'm going to guess this scope was made in 1977 or 78, and I believe the product was introduced in 1976. So it's a single input oscilloscope with just your basic stuff, which is fine for me for looking at waveforms from guitar pedals and stuff. It's just fine. This is a 5 megahertz scope, so it's plenty good for audio stuff. You know, I don't need my 20 megahertz Tech 453 to look at audio necessarily. I have that in case I need it, but this, without the case, I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I'm probably going to have to fabricate some kind of case for it if I decide I want to keep the thing, and this may just end up going there. So I don't know, we'll see. I'm just in the beginning stages of this, getting it cleaned up and stuff, so. Here's the underside of the unit. Everything looks to be in pretty good shape, but I'm having a hard time trying to determine if these capacitors are any good or not. I can't even measure 6,000 UF with anything that I have. I didn't really want to go down this road, but I had to remove this power supply board off of here so I could get one of these caps off for testing, and I went ahead and charged it up with 9 volts and then measured it with the multimeter, and it's holding a charge, and if you're not careful, it'll give you a little spark. So far this one capacitor seems to be all right. I think while I'm at it, I'm just going to take off all these capacitors, the other 4, and test them. And I think I'm also going to try to check the ESR on them by running a square wave through them for my function generator. And there's a video that I'll link that shows you how to do that. That's a pretty cool way to check electrolytic caps, the ESR on them, without having a meter. So that's 1 down, 4 more to go, and so far this is encouraging. So we'll just go on to the next 4. Alright, so here's the moment of truth. We have not tried to turn this thing on, and so we're going to go do so now and see what happens. And looks like we have a completely dead unit that was supposedly working. Okay, well the little LED has come on, but we have no CRT. CRT is dead, dead, dead. Well, that kind of sucks. I had my suspicions about it not working when I would turn off the lights in this room after them being on for a while, and this screen would not glow like my Tech 453 would. This just looked dead. So I think probably the CRT has lost its vacuum or something, unfortunately. Oh well. Well, at least that was a learning experience for sure. Learned how to test some electrolytic caps, learned how to do a few things, but yeah, this is not working. Well, I guess one positive out of this is I have an unbuilt kit that my former co-worker is going to give me, and I guess we'll build that here in the near future, and if we're lucky, the CRT is still good, and we can actually build that and have a working scope. So, all right. Can't win them all. You know, I spoke a little too soon. I went to look at the back of the CRT here, and I see there was a glow in there, so I came back over here and I tweaked these controls a little bit, and what do you know, we have a scope. The looks like the CRT though needs to be adjusted a little bit because it looks a little crooked, but yeah, how cool is that? Well, that's pretty exciting. Actually, the CRT looks like it's pretty crisp here. Alright, I guess I'm going to feed it a signal and see what it looks like. Alright, cool. So we're feeding a sine wave from my function generator over here. My Heath-Schlumberger function generator that I got off eBay some years ago is feeding my Heath-Schlumberger SO-4541, and I got a nice looking little sine wave. Let's turn the frequency down a little bit here. There we go. That's actually not bad. The focus is not as sharp as the Tektronix, but well, let me really rephrase that. The traces on the screen are thicker, but it's real easy to see, which is nice. So horizontal position, we can adjust that. That looks like that's right in the middle. Let's see here. Let's go invert it. It inverts. Normal, auto, trigger. So we're at 200 microseconds. And here's our variable gain. Variable gain works. Everything appears to be functional. How cool. Well, that's pretty exciting. Alright, so now that it actually works, I guess let's feed it a square wave and see how that looks. Because on my Tech 453 over here, the square wave is looking really bad. I think the CRT is on its way to dying. So let's try a square wave and see what that looks like. My table is actually a little too small for this project, but oh, that's not a square wave. Let's see. Huh. Square wave? Oh, wait, I didn't change that actually. I changed the frequency multiplier. There we go. Now, we don't have a square wave. Why don't we have a square wave? It doesn't like a square wave. Oh, nope, I lied. So intensity, yeah, see this CRT is not looking that good either, actually. We don't have any of the vertical lines here. It looks just like my Tech 453. So this CRT is probably kind of tired as well, but yeah, the intensity, if we turn that all the way up, we still don't get our vertical lines, so that's unfortunate. We don't even get them if we go way down on our volts here. Volts per division. Alright, let's go back to AC. What frequency are we feeding this thing? That shouldn't matter. That should be around a 200 hertz square wave right there. And we'll turn this all the way up. Yeah, we're not getting any vertical lines. But generally, for what I would be using this for guitar effect stuff, I'm not dealing with square waves. Let's turn this back to a sine wave. The sine wave looks good. I imagine a triangle wave would as well. Yes. All right, well. So the CRT is probably seeing a fair amount of use. It might be on its way to going out, but well, if I can get a few hours of use out of this thing in place of my, I think, failing Tech 453, I guess it's probably worth screwing around with it. So I guess what I'm going to do is either buy a dead one off eBay or something for the case, or I'm kind of more inclined to actually try to build a case for it, just because it's a challenge, and I seem to like challenges that most people wouldn't bother with. Okay, well, I guess we'll consider this a part one of this old Heath-Schlumberger SO-4541 oscilloscope, and we'll maybe get a part two up if we decide to pursue this any further. So one of the cool things about the internet is you can find old manuals and stuff for equipment that would have been really hard to get otherwise. 10, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, you would have to write letters to Heath and say, can you please send me a manual? And then they'd write back a letter and, sure, we can send you a manual. Send us, $19.99 money order or whatever, and then they'd send it to you, and you have to wait another 3 or 4 weeks, and the whole process would be like 6 weeks. You can go find this in like 5 minutes on the internet, which is nice. But anyways, before I started working on this, I downloaded a manual, and I got all of the calibration stuff and initial tests and all that kind of thing, and troubleshooting. And just to show you the capacitors that I changed were all here in the power supply. So it was all these electrolytics, all these 6,000 UFs and the 1,200 UFs over here. these are all the things I was concerned about being dried out after sitting around not being used for like 20 years. I think literally this oscilloscope was not turned on for 20 years. And so to me, that's kind of a testament to the quality of these Nichicon caps. You know, the fact that they stayed sealed up and they didn't dry out and they're still functional after not being used for 20 years. So it's kind of nice too when you download a schematic, you got it with your piece of equipment, you can always tweak stuff or troubleshoot things or adjust things much easier when you have a schematic. You can look at it and go, okay, how do I adjust the horizontal amplifier gain, or you know, whatever you might want to do, or how is the CRT wired. And I like to go and color code stuff. Like I everywhere there's a voltage, I highlighted with yellow. All my transistors and FETs are blue, and my IC chips are green. It just kind of helps you quickly identify like where's the transistors in this section or whatever.